modeling exactly like traditional school because I am a seasoned teacher. I've been teaching for 25 years. I currently teach the students in the Black Student Achievement Plan program. So I teach K through 12 students who are identify as Black or African American. So that's my day job. My
Mm.
teaching my own children is a response to really what you talk about, the core three, right? So teaching our own children is key to giving them the best future. But also it's not suited for everyone. So sometimes we have to send them to school, and there are great educators like myself in that space too. So
Mhm.
I would say it came from my child was bullied in school, my older daughter.
Mm.
And so
Mm.
we needed to find a different alternative. My little one didn't feel really comfortable in either schools. I tried her in several different schools. So I ended up placing her with us at home as well. And being part of the homeschooling network, I have a friend who really runs the programs through the Ambleside online program, and that is a classical Christian education. And so, yeah, it evolved. It evolved organically. It wasn't like we had a mission to do this. It was just a reaction to the pandemic and to what my children were experiencing. With the role I do now as a restorative justice teacher, I actually do have a lot of social emotional learning skills that I use with my own children and with my students. So there's a lot to be taught in the classroom. It's not just academics. Our kids need character development. They need they really need to feel seen, heard, and feel valued. And so that's what I try to do both in my profession and in my personal life.
Yeah, when you were talking about the Black Core 3 earlier, that's something that we've always believed here in the Black Business School. I've always believed that Black children should, that Black people should educate Black children, that we should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black-owned businesses. And the logic was basically that a lot of our kids get miseducated and they get misguided. If we create our own jobs, we don't have to constantly hope that somebody else decides to hire us or leave our economic stability and which is connected to financial anxiety in the hands of somebody else, right? This idea that there is an oppressor that can just push a button or make a decision and ruin your whole life is something that we should never accept. It's something that you have to get away from. That you can't live under the thumb of somebody else and think you're ever going to be happy. Or if you are happy, it's only happiness that they decide you're going to get, and you only get it as long as they decide you're going to have it. And so, what I liked about what you were doing is you're doing something that's impressive to me because what you're doing is you're doing your best. Right? A lot of us think that we have to have everything perfect and we got to have it all figured out and know all the answers to make a move, and nobody knows all the answers. When I started doing stuff in the Black Business School, I didn't know all the answers. I knew a lot of answers, right? I had some skills, but I didn't know exactly how it was going to work. I was like, I don't know how we're going to get the money, but I know something needs to be done. And so action, in my view, speaks so much louder than words. So you're taking action. I love that. Now let's talk about this. I know that you also, in addition to standard education, which you're doing just in an extraordinary way, you're also incorporating some of the things we're doing in terms of stock options and stuff like that from the Prime and from the Mastermind stuff like that. Can you speak to that in terms of what
Absolutely.
that's been like for you?
Yeah, and before I do, I just want to respond to what you said. I don't I cannot thank you enough for recognizing that I'm trying my best. I don't have it all figured out. I'm not the expert in any it's like I definitely try my best. And so there's times where we don't do what we want to do because we're afraid of not doing it perfectly, of not, having it all down. So I'm growing and learning every day in this space, and I'm grateful that as I do it, other people are inspired to do it as well. So it's like when I built Black on the platform, people were not ready with their businesses. So it propelled them to want to really get their businesses more solid so that they could put them out there. So we make each other better. That's all I want to say. It's like by doing it, my friends doing it, I'm doing it, then we kind of, it's like a ripple effect. So, um,
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of that, and I know we had talked about the option stuff, but you mentioned Black on the platform. So you created Black on the platform, which does what exactly for Black owned businesses?
so it is an opportunity it's an invitation to join an ecosystem where we support one another. And everyone is either a family member, a friend, an associate who's currently on the platform, but that will grow. It is a growth community. The idea is that we build trust amongst ourselves, that we pour into one another. If you're looking for a financial planner, you have Mia James, you have Aisha Verzi. If you're looking for somebody who can support you with your beauty care, your skincare, the idea around it was that we needed a place where we could get the needs of the whole person met, whether that's mental services like Dr. Alicia, if you need, financial support, like I mentioned, Errol. Errol is also going to be on my live this coming Thursday. So
Nice.
I'm just trying to grow the space so that people feel like they're pouring into one another and we're helping each other with all of our needs in any area that you need. And so that's why I call myself Gen S, the networking concierge, because I love bringing people together. That's what I did with the Fierce and Fearless Sisterhood. Shout out to FFS, my wonderful family. And we were all strangers. We met in one of your B1 spaces with Dr. Alicia from Pain to Peace session, and we grew into a family. We just celebrated our 1 year together. And so,
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing because we were strangers and now we are family. And that's what it feels like in the B1 space. I'm always like grateful to be amongst like-minded individuals. So yeah, I'm very excited. To respond to your question you asked about the options and the children, I have taken on what you've said. I've been teaching them about investing. They've bought into their own stocks like Roblox. I was telling you how my daughter liquidated her stocks so that she could buy more products because she makes bracelets. That's her entrepreneurial practice. And so it's been really exciting to watch her make a profit, reinvest into her company, and grow that. And that's just application.
How much money did she make? I want to ask you that. Didn't you say she made a ton of money, like the stock doubled or something?
Yeah, so she bought into Roblox at $49 and she liquidated at 125. So she's like, I more than doubled my money, and for a 10-year-old, that's like she's making it rain. She's like, and they listen
And you know that that's wiring her economic thinking at an early age, right? Because when somebody like when you get raised to only learn how to do things the hard way, then you get used to the hard way. But then when you are exposed to a way to do it much easier, you naturally gravitate toward the easier way.
make
That's
it fun
I did sorry.
and make it fun. Like your little
Mm.
not playing cards. I call them playing cards, but they're the sets because we use them as playing cards. We do matching with them so they can understand the terms. Sometimes I cover them with post-its so they can't read the terms, and it's just we play games with them to make it fun because kids don't like school. School's not fun for everyone. I'm a former nerd. Okay, I'm still a nerd. But I love school. And so when like Dr. Claude Anderson's book gets shipped or one of your books gets shipped, and I'm like, "Ooh, a book," and they're like, "Oh, mom, you," and like they know how excited I get. Shout out to my sister Natasha; she's the true Velma of the group. But I love to read, I love to learn, and so making it fun. That was my point.
Yeah, I think when it's fun and then I just think about just it's like this, right? Like if you're raised with a limited educational or limited economic education, you're it's like somebody says, if you say, well, how do I get from point A to point B? They say, well, you walk, and if you really want to get there fast, you run. Running's gonna make you tired, but you'll get there. And then one day somebody comes along on a bike, and you're like, wait a minute, you mean I can get twice as far, 10 times as far for a third of the energy? I want one of those, right? And then you see somebody else with a car, You're like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't even have to pedal the car. This is amazing. And I can go 1,000 miles and not get tired. And I bring that up because it's the same thing when you talk about financial vehicles, right? And that's what they call them, investment vehicles, right? The first investment vehicle we learn is you go to work and get a job, and that's what you do if you want to make money. And for me, what opened my eyes was when I actually was 12, a little bit older than your daughter, and I was selling candy door to door. And I saw how sales, that being a better salesperson would accelerate my income. I mean, I would come home at 12 years old with 30, $40 in my pocket. That was a lot of money back then. It's a lot of money now, you know? And what I wasn't introduced to is what your daughter's introduced to, which is this idea that she bought this Roblox stock for, what'd you say, 49 dollars, and the price goes up to 125, and so her money almost triples. Actually, that's almost tripling.
It is, yeah.
And she didn't do anything. All she did was make an investment decision. And I like what you're doing because you're really shaping her thought process. So when she gets older and she says, "Gosh, I need some money. What am I going to do?" She doesn't have to pick option A. Think about how many young people are like, guess I got to get a job. I got to get a second job, right? Your daughter's going to say, no, I could get a job, or I could invest, or I could learn to sell, or I could do, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different options there, right? So let me ask you this. So in terms of, let's talk about, let's go to, let's, since you got so many good things going on, let's go to Black on the Platform. One of the, so what drove you to create Black on the Platform? And the website is blackontheplatform.com. Is that right?
Yes. And I know
Okay.
there's sisters in the chat who are dropping the link, so thank you. Yes. Um, I want to say, just to respond before we go to that, it is so important that we learn patience. If my daughter would have invested that $49 and waited a week, she wouldn't have seen that profit. So it taught her what you've been teaching us through this process is delayed gratification. And that's
Mm-hmm.
hard for children. And I think investing in stocks is a great way to teach that because they have to be patient and go with the ups and downs. They also learn about the stock and the company. And so they're conscious consumers as we go through the investment process. So yeah.
I like that. I like that
Yeah,
a lot.
thank you. So what started Black on the Platform, I would say it was something that I felt in my spirit. My friend and I, Crystal, we were meeting every month, once a month, to look at our finances. We were figuring out ways to get out of debt, how to budget better. Then we would
Mm.
also shift our attention to our skincare, our hair care, what products are working well for us and our daughters. We then started talking about like dressing up for work, changing, giving ourselves a glow up. And I was like, we need a space where it's a one-stop shop. Like we don't need to like piecemeal all these different needs together. I said, we as whole people have, we need, spiritual guide because we would pray together. We needed like all of it. We needed spiritual, we needed mental, we needed education. We would talk about all these different areas in our lives. And I said, it would be great if we had a space for at the time, I was just thinking about women, Black women, and coming together like The View and sitting around like a table and sharing best practices on being, a functioning grown up, like being an adult and being a mom and being a wife and being a daughter and all the roles and different hats we have to play. I'll hear some of my sisters in the sisterhood say, I'm tired of being a strong Black woman. Like, can we get some, when do we get to exhale, you know, um,
Mm.
just so that fostered the idea in me that I wanted to make sure that I met the needs of all the dimensions of wellness. And so I started charting it out. And then I thought, okay, so what do we need under each category? And then I said, well, we need a space to go to. Like, yeah, we can talk about it, but as an educator, I'm like, I need just point me in the right direction. So that's when I came up with the idea of the platform. Now, the platform was already taken, and I was like, well, it is a space for Black people, so let's call it Black on the Platform. And
Mm.
from that, I talked to my family. So my family is the Johnson family, and we owned a Johnson Cafe, and that's in our All About Us page on our site. And really, I was able to like think about how both sides of my mom's side and my dad's side have had entrepreneurial experience. The cafe is no longer, and it saddens me. So we, we're a very large family. My dad is one of 11 children. And it's funny because you've had that woman on who talked about being sharecropping, and then she had 14. And it's just parallels so many families that were like mine that left the South during the Great Migration, came out here and really had nothing. And
Mm.
so just trying to find ways to grow. They started a cafe. That was an inspiration to me because if we had held on to our family home in Los Angeles, if we had held on to our cafe, then it would be such a difference. Oh, thank you, Dr. Boyce. Yes, yes. So that is us. That's my grandfather, Reverend Arnold Johnson, and my grandmother, Hattie Johnson, and my daddy's the one on the far right. And so, I mean, there are so many families who have a photo like this. Like my friend Crystal was like, my mom has a picture just like that with the bow in her hair and her little braids sticking out. Like we can all relate to this experience, and really like trying to pour back into our families and building up what it means. We in my sisterhood group 2 weeks ago, we talked about what is it to be to for what does it look like in 2025, the Black family? What does that look like as things shift, lifestyles shift. It's really challenging. And so the Black on the Platform space is to bring generational wealth not only to our children, but I also highlight all of my Johnson family businesses. I highlight all the B1 businesses, anyone who wants to be part of the community. There is a subscription fee, but we're doing a discount today for the next 3 days. It'll expire on the 26th for anyone who wants to subscribe. But the idea was I vetted these people. These are my family. These are my friends. These are people that I trust. And I feel grateful to be able to have a space where we can shine. My cousin Letitia, she does so many wonderful things with like as our family gets older, they have had needs for nursing care, and she has Glorified Hands, which comes in and helps elderly. So she gets to be on the platform, right? And the list goes on and on. I have like every area where we're hitting it. And so it's really a blessing, not only to myself, but to my family and my loved ones and my friends and just the B1 community. It's really made up of B1 phenomenal
Well,
people.
I want everybody to know the website is blackontheplatform.com. I know some of you are watching from different places or listening, maybe on Spotify or something. It's blackontheplatform.com. And there's those that are in the private Zoom, the links are right there. It looks like somebody's sharing the link pretty diligently. And so
Yes, thank you.
thanks, Andrea. It's
Yes, and
right there.
Andrea is the one who always calls me out, Dr. Boyce, because she says I'm guilty of the shiny object syndrome because you said like WBD yesterday. And I was like, let me look on Robinhood. Did I get WBD when you said it last time? And I'm like, yeah, I did. You say like Intel. I'm like, get Intel. You say whatever you say. I have like a mini Dr. Boyce portfolio. Whatever you say, I'm like, okay, let me get it. And it might be one share because we got small pocketbooks over here, but I still do it. And so I'm always like, when you say a stock and I didn't get it, I'm like, oh, when I didn't get, like I have to get everything mini. And then they say, like, oh, you're keeping up with the Joneses. And I always tell people, no, I'm keeping up with the Watkins, with you and Dr.
That is so funny. Well, the funny thing about that, Jen, is that and I would encourage everybody to consider this. First off, I want everybody to kind of see, I wanted everyone to see what you're doing so that maybe it would inspire ideas of all the things, not just in terms of participating with what you're doing, which is very important. I hope everybody will take a look, but also just knowing we can all do something. I think Black leadership it starts at home. It starts with us. We have to be our own leaders. Everybody, let me know if you agree with that. I think it's a simple idea, but I think it works. Like, do you agree with me that sometimes if we're all sitting back, if 40 million of us are sitting back and waiting for one person to do everything, that's not fair to us. It's an illusion, but it's also not fair to that person, right? You got to save the whole Black community. No, I think the whole Black community will save itself.
And we have
And
to be the leadership we seek in the world. This is not the first time. I mean, the sisterhood is something special and sacred space, but this is not the first time that I've tried to be the leadership we're looking for. My same girlfriend, best friend Crystal, we were dealing that. It was during the summer of the Black Lives Matter movement where everyone was like, what do we do? How do we react? What do we do? And as educators, I created something called the group. And it was Black
Mm.
women who came together and we met to figure out how we are going to address it with our students, how we were going to create a new space. I reached out to my administrators. How can I be of support to express to parents what's going on? Like, we have to step up into the spaces because I was telling her, I'm like, all of our leaders are either, assassinated, they're incarcerated, they're misdirected, misguided. Like, we have to step up in that space. And that's why every time I'm in communication with you, I'm like, your number one student and teacher, because I'm not only listening what you're saying, I'm applying it. And I think that's why I'm so blessed to get so many shout outs because you see me doing the work and I really am passionate about it. So,
Well,
um,
it's interesting. Yeah, well, thank you. First of all, I love that, and I'm just thinking that if I was to sort of condense it into something for everyone to hopefully consider, is that when you're here, you got at least three goals, right? Learn it, apply it to your own life, and then teach it to others so that others can benefit from what you learn. And if you take TAL and you flip it around, it's almost like spelling tall in a different way, right? Maybe that's what we can do. It's like stand tall, right? Teach it, apply it, and learn it, right? And then that way you're benefiting. You're taking it in, and then number two, you're applying it. Application is important. You gotta take action, and then you teach it to others, and then you're sort of multiplying the effect, and that's how you end up creating what the real catalyst for improvement and change is, which is not sort of symbolic leadership. It's actually culture. Culture is the guide on everything. Culture is what was it in the mastermind the other day? I was mentioning something. I didn't want to sound like I was stereotyping, but something about so I spoke to someone that was Jamaican and they did something really amazing financially. You can remind me. I forget
yeah.
that sometimes I forget what I was talking about, but I remember saying like, well, I don't want to say all Jamaicans are perfect, or that we're not, that we don't have our own strengths and weaknesses. But I said, yeah, it didn't surprise me when a guy I knew who was Jamaican had bought three houses by the age of 30. And to be quite frank with you, I said, I don't know a lot of African American men who bought three houses by the age of 30. And I said, but I think there's something there, right? There's something in Jamaican culture that we can learn from. And so I think for us, it also I know a lot of you might be Jamaican as well, so we love you, of course. But when you look at African American culture and so much poison that was kind of put in the well, so many traumatic, horrible experiences that we had to go through that really misdirected us. I think it's important that we really consciously take hold of that culture, and by learning, applying, and teaching, you're not only getting into the exposure to new ideas, the application allows you to incorporate that into your daily life. That's what your whole life is, nothing more than a product of what you do consistently. That's all it is. It's just it's habit formation. What are your habits? What are you doing every day? That'll tell me everything I need to know about where you're going to be 20 years from now. If you're investing three times a week, then you're going to be wealthy in 10 or 15 years. Easy to predict that. And then the last part, teaching, right? So that means that this model of solo success that we've been so proud of for so long, where somehow we thought that if I went out and got a great job, that other people would somehow be inspired by what they saw. Like they'd see me driving my Mercedes and they would say, "Oh, I want to be like him." And that's fine to some extent, but that's not the same as me saying, "Let me explain to you how I got this. Let me create a job for you so we can work together and build together." Those are two different sorts of approaches, right? So that teaching part, I think, is essential. We have to make sure whatever your gospel is, whatever your jam is, you play that music as loud as you can. And that's what I like about what you're doing, is you're taking your beliefs, and no one can be around you for too long without knowing what you stand for, being inspired by what you're doing, and watching you take action. Learn, apply, teach. You're doing that. So let me ask you this question then. The sisterhood. Let's talk about that. You mentioned waiting to exhale, and we've heard that term. Everybody, I assume, how many of y'all old enough to remember the movie Waiting to Exhale? Sometimes you laugh, sometimes you cry. Right? Life never tells us. Yeah, okay, let me stop.
I
All right.
got the
So anyway,
soundtrack. You can sing it, Dr. Boyce. Every time I'm off of Zoom and I'm in the chat, I'm always like, sing it. I love when you start singing and rapping.
I
Yeah, I'm all about
well,
it.
Well, you know what? That I'll tell you, that was a great movie, and I can't sing, so I'm not gonna mess up Whitney Houston's song. But y'all remember "Shoo Shoo Be Doo"?
Yes.
All right, so here's what that movie said to me, right? And I you brought it up, and I thought it'd be fun to explore this a little bit. I was 24, 25 when that movie came out, and I was just becoming aware of the complexities of being a black adult, right? Like the whole issue that a lot of the issues that black women go through. And I watched the movie and I said, wow, like all these women are going through these horrible experiences with men. And there was only one exception, Gregory Hines and the lady, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's a famous actress, right? But everything else was like, holy crap, like what's happening here? And so what I thought about when with that movie was, isn't it interesting that you said we're waiting to exhale now? Loretta Devine, thank you, Robert. Um, you said we're waiting to exhale, and what's interesting is that the movie came out 30 years ago, and we were waiting to exhale 30 years ago. So I think a big question to ask, and I'd love for you to just reflect on any of it or share what comes to mind for you, is are we still going to be waiting to exhale 30 years from today? Like the little baby that's your grandbaby that's 3, is she going to be waiting to exhale when she's 33 in the year 2055? Are we going to be waiting to exhale in the year 2085? Because
Well, I'm
and
gonna
to me that's why change is so important. Is that what does it take for us to get to the point where we're not still waiting to exhale? Because you can't hold your breath forever.
right.
So tell me what your thoughts are on that. Like, what does it take for us to just say, yeah, all that suffering, all that stress and pain and anxiety that came from racism and miseducation, everything else, that's a thing of the past. That's not true. Because if you listen to Malcolm X talk, it's like he's talking in 2025. So
Absolutely.
that tells me that maybe we're not making as much progress as we'd like to make. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
So many things I want to say. First of all, I show my kids James Baldwin's documentaries and Malcolm X and teaching them about the past so that they can better understand where we come from. You always say that the market, that the past behavior in the market is no indicator of the future behavior of the market. So I would love to think the same thing is true for us as we go into the future. One of the things you talked about is doing for the culture. I don't know if you came to Mia James and I had a vending booth at ABC, and right there I had a sign that said "Do it for our culture." For the culture is what it says, and it had a picture of cart animated group of people. I definitely hope that, I mean, part of the why in Black on the Platform is to combat analysts' prediction that in 2053, we will have a zero average as Black wealth. I want to do something about that. I don't believe that just waiting for that time to come to see if it's true is going to be the right choice. We have to take action. So we definitely need to support one another. And it's not just about going to a business directory and supporting people in that directory. It's emotional support, it's mental support, it's financial support in some cases. I always joke about, my cousin Pookie still owes me that money, but I have given money to family when they've needed it, right? I try to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. And so educating my children about the history where we come from, both in my family and not only the history of the Black American experience, but also the Johnson legacy and teaching them so that we can identify if, our youth culture, they look at us like we're just old people who don't know what time it is and what's going on. So it's really important when I send out so not to digress, but I also hold the Johnson family meetings, which my cousin Herman and Pamela came to me and asked me to help co-create this Johnson Legacy Council, which I did for a while. Like it was more than a year. And then this and the work you do made me think about the family meetings. And so we started doing those. My
Uh,
children,
I enjoyed my Johnson family meeting, by the way. I got to
thank
meet
you.
the family, so
They
that was
love
very
you.
nice.
Yeah, no. And so it's not just like, oh, I'm working with Dr. Boyce and, I'm fortunate for this, that, and the other. It's, come on, Dr. Boyce, be part of this. My point is we have to like really do the grassroots, get in there and be willing to spend our time and our energy and invest in one another. Um, and so for me, I feel very fortunate. Like I feel very fortunate every morning to hear you talk and be part of this B1 community. it's like I found my people, I found my tribe. The same thing with my sisterhood. It's like I know I can pick up the phone and call any one of the wonderful women in the sisterhood to cry to. You know, building this company is not easy, and there's times where I felt discouraged. I felt um, it's overwhelming, and then you're like, well, you know, then they're like, you're doing it, you got this, you know, and not just here, but also in other spaces. Just getting the support from my fellow sisters and brothers has been really important in getting me to where I'm going. And your support has been invaluable. Like if anyone goes to the site, they can see your big face right there. Not
Yeah, yeah. Well,
big, it's a big picture.
I'm happy to lend my big face. You know, it's that's my job, and I enjoyed meeting your family. It was really fun to because I'm learning from you as well because I can't do my job unless I understand, you know, what works, what doesn't, what's actually helping people. I don't think any of us has time to spend a lot of energy just doing stuff, just running our mouths and whatever. You know, look, we got a job to do, y'all. Like we got to fix this. Whatever it is, everybody has something around them that needs fixing. And the biggest thing I've learned is we don't do it, nobody will. And I love what your family's doing. I think it's amazing. And I want everybody else in here to know. Look, if you're doing something extraordinary in your community, let us know what you're doing. Also, maybe there's a chance I could pop in on a Zoom or pop in on a or come to your city or something. I'm not opposed to that. We just have to figure out like how we're gonna get stuff paid for, right?
We
Because stuff
still need
isn't
you to
free.
come out to Los Angeles, by the way. I know the fires and the ice and all the drama that happens out here makes you want to stay away, but once the
Fire
dust
and ice.
settles, fire and ice, right? Yeah. Earth, wind,
Well,
and fire.
and then on top of that, I don't know how you feel about this, but there's a South African pastor who says that today Jesus is coming back to Earth. I don't know if that's
Oh.
if anyone knows about that. And also, there's another lady I ran across on the. Don't ask me how this got into my algorithm, but there's a lady who was real serious, and she said the aliens will be here. The alien ship will arrive to Earth on September 25th. So we got Jesus and the aliens, or maybe Jesus, the alien Jesus is connected. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild. It's big on TikTok right now. I follow everything, right? So just, but in all seriousness though, yeah, I love LA, and there's so many. When I've done stuff there, I was at was it Leimert Park, and so many people came out, and we did something with the brother that started Kwanzaa. I'm so bad with names. Somebody put the name in there. His bookstore. I went to his bookstore and did something, and there were so many great people there that I met. And I would love to Karenga, Dr. Karenga, and I should have known that. I apologize for that. With that said, though, you know, anybody in here, if you've got like if you have a church or a building or a place where we can do stuff and we can figure something out, like reach out to our team. The email address is support@theblackbusinessschool.com, and maybe we can do business together, right? You know, maybe if my presence helps you draw people in, and you know we can teach people something. You sell tickets, make some money. I come in and do my thing. You help us cover the cost, whatever. Figure that part out. I love working with people that are in our space, right? I'm not real interested in going out and trying to convince people who don't get it. You know, I don't want to argue with a celebrity about why helping black people it should be important. I can't undo 40 years of programming, and unfortunately, I like preaching to the choir, right? I like talking to people that are like, "Oh, I already get it. I'm already past loving black people. I love myself. I see the problem. I want to solve it. I'm ready to take action. What we gonna do now, right?" Then I'm like, "Great, let's go get it." Like it's like
And,
playing basketball with
I'm
basketball players as opposed to trying to explain to someone who hates
right.
basketball why they should like it. That's kind of the approach that I enjoy. Please go ahead. I cut
Yeah,
you. I'm
so
sorry.
no, because I'm in spaces where there's a lot of Black educators and we celebrate Black achievements. One day we did an activity where it was four corners, and we had to go into these, you know, whether it was social justice, different areas where we've made an impact, and we all broke up into these spaces. And then they shared out who their leader was, and it was always somebody from the past. So in my corner,
Mm.
I got my group to get on board with me, and we shared out Dr. Boyce Watkins, somebody who is making a difference today. Yes, you. And so when I go into these spaces, I'm always like, have you heard of Dr. Boyce Watkins? Like, do you know about Dr. Boyce? And they're like, you brought the B1, and we pound each other up, and we're like, yes. And that's how I'm with Kenyatta Griggs, and finding out like that's how you and Dame hooked up. Like, it's because I'm always like, I'm a walking poster child. I'm like Dr. Boyce Watkins, B1, BBS, you know. But it really does make sure that you're with the right people, because we've said it before, all skin folk ain't kin folk. And there are times where we assume, oh, you must be, and then you find out they have different beliefs, they have different views, and I respect everyone's differences, but it's a difference when you come into a space of like-minded people where we honor one another and we respect what we're doing and we're all applying. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to say this. I admire you. I admire your family. And I want you to just really understand how important what you're doing is. I think you get it, but I'll just reiterate it in case you're not sure. And the stuff you're going to do is going to last for generations, right? Like even when you t showed that beautiful picture of your family, it looked like a couple of generations ago. You said your dad was a little boy in that picture, and your
Yes.
grandparents were.
And Taryn said that I look just like my grandmother, and my family says that. She's passed. She passed when I was a year and a half, and everyone always says that I'm like the spitting image of her. And I told Tashi that I would tell her when to drop it. So Tashi, drop it. Drop that link in the chat. I think Andrea has done it as well. Oh, thank you, Natasha has also. But yeah, yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just saw the comment, and I'm like, yes, that is where I get
Yeah.
my.
Well, if you think about it, when they, when they took that picture, I'd be willing to bet you that they didn't know that you'd be talking about that picture, 50, 60 years later or 70 years later. I mean, what year was the picture taken?
My dad was little, so they moved when he was 14. So let's see, maybe 1956 or something. Um,
So
it might have to
that's
be.
almost 70 years.
Yeah, my grandfather, he was a reverend, so he preached until he was 97 years old. He passed at 99, and he's in the center there. My grandmother, birthing children and being the strong force. She was small but mighty. And I'm very privileged to be part of this family and this ancestry. And I have so much pride and gratitude for what they did to make a way for a better life for their family coming from the South. My dad will tell a story of his best friend. He was 7 years old and was lynched by a mob of white people. That type of.
His friend was 7 when he got lynched?
Yes. And they
Oh
said
my
that he
God.
whistled at a woman just like Emmett Till. And my dad doesn't believe that he did. He said he doesn't know if he did or he didn't. He can't say, but that's what they would say. They used that aggression towards our young boys and blamed it on their attraction to white women. That whole dynamic, it's nothing new. It's the same story been,
I mean,
but it's.
even if he did, obviously, I mean, there's nothing a 7-year-old or any man, there's nothing you could do with your eyes that would should lead to a punishment like that. I mean, I think that's the truth that's there, right? And which I'm sorry about that. That's kind of, and what's interesting is I think a lot of us would be surprised by how many black people have some horror story in their family that relates to racism. Like this was systematic. My great great grandfather got lynched. Because this white man stepped on his wife's foot and when she was pregnant, and she asked the white man to take his foot off her foot, and I guess something happened where they had a confrontation and they went and killed him. And so this to me speaks about things like reparations and stuff like that. Like there's no debate, and I think in terms of honoring the ancestors, I'm not going to just pass it off just because you want me to feel good about being in 2025. I'm gonna think about 1925, and you owe us for what you did to us and our people. We're cleaning up a big old mess right now because you won't help. You made the mess, but you won't clean it up. You're not taking accountability for what your ancestors did. And so, one more thing I was going to mention on that picture too was the reason I want to encourage you is because I doubt that when they took that picture in 1956, they thought that we'd be having a conversation about this picture in with thousands of people watching in 2025, right? I mention that because I want everybody to understand what you're doing is going to matter. The things you choose to do are going to matter, and the things you choose not to do are going to matter. So this is your opportunity. You know, they're going to be having Zoom meetings and talking about whatever you were doing in 1925, and you don't want them to look back and say, "Oh, they must have been doing a whole bunch of nothing."
Right.
Right? That's why we're struggling now because they did a whole
And
bunch
Dr.
of
Boyce,
nothing.
that still happens in the spaces where, we have non-Black counterparts. It was as early as Friday where somebody's mentioned to me, at what point do we as Black people stop being victims and do so? And I was so infuriated. Of course, I brought it to my sisterhood and was like, can you believe this is what I'm dealing with? And they were like, yes, we can believe it. And it is terrible. But people are more emboldened to speak their minds under the current administration in ways that resurface the hate and not even hate, ignorance. My husband helped me calm down too and saying it's ignorance. They don't know about redlining. They don't know about socioeconomic injustice. They don't know about privatization of prisons. They don't understand from our experience. And the woman said, I'm just trying to play both sides of the coin here. And I said, the only way you could play both sides of the coin is if you woke up Black one morning because
Mm.
so I get very I'm light bright and full of fight. My husband always calls me Angela Davis because I went to UCLA and I'm brewing. Shout out to Bruins, but it infuriates me that there isn't more of a consciousness in humanity about injustice. I feel like it's the same. That's why I was giving appreciation to my grandparents for packing up 11 children, coming out to Los Angeles with nothing for a better life, because it is through their sacrifices that I'm able to do what I'm doing today. And so I definitely could not agree more that we have to apply all the things we're learning with you. We need to be the voice and the arms and the legs of this movement. And that's why I say Black on the Platform is not just a Black business directory, it's a growth community. It's a space for us to uplift one another, pour into each other. I know there's sometimes controversy of whether should we invest, go to this Black owned business over this other business because it's might be more expensive, or maybe I didn't like the way they were treating me. But I just want to ask you all to give one another grace and to be patient. You don't know what they went through that day. You don't know who said what to somebody to trigger them. They might be infuriated about something like I was the other day, and
Mm.
just having that energy. So I just hope that we can support one another and build together. That's why my tagline is, until next time, stay bold, stay Black, stay building. I really believe that we can do it together and change the narrative so that we aren't repeating the past, and that what you said in the future, right? Like, what is it going to be like in the future? That's dependent on us and our children and our
All
children's
right, all right. I love that. She just said it all. It's blackontheplatform.com, blackontheplatform.com. So if so take a look at the site. If you could share it, participate if you have a business or start starting a business, it's great for that. Also, if you want to be a customer of these businesses that are on the site, I think that's important as well. And so blackontheplatform.com is the URL. Also, Jen has YouTube channels and things like that in there. So feel free to jump into all that. I want to say, Jen, I'm super impressed. You make great contributions. Like when we meet in the mastermind and stuff, I love seeing what you're doing. And we don't even have
Oh,
time to do this. We
yeah, I
talked
was
about your
share my
option spreadsheet.
options. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry.
no
We
worries.
cover so many good things. But
You can
yeah,
always
you
bring me back again, Dr. Boyce, if you want more content
of
around
course, that
options.
that is definitely going to happen. And you mentioned Errol Semengal. I want to bring Errol in. I don't know if Errol's here today, but I want Errol Semengal to come by. And I think it's and you're important because I want everyone to know about all the amazing stories that are kind of happening in here, like Karen and Kendall Green. And I just talked to them the other day and just hearing about the stuff they're doing and their kids are thriving. And I think and those stories inspire me because that's real impact. That's real change. That's so different. I got so tired of like waiting for white people to be nice to us. I do believe they owe us, and I'm gonna always say that, and I frustrate people because I would say, well, if you're upset about injustice and you know that they owe us this money, then why is it that you serve them so well? Like why not hold back certain like when they want you to work for them, you work for them. When they want you to vote for them, you vote for them. You don't even ask any questions. But then you'll come and complain to me about how badly they're treating you. And I think Brother Nuri Muhammad said it well when he said it doesn't make sense that we'll blame 95% of our problems on the white man, but then go give the white man 95% of our money. And I have to agree with that.
And
It
you
does
have
not make sense. It does not add up. So, in my view, self-esteem is an important part of this conversation too. So, self-esteem says to me, it says, until you do right by me, I ain't doing nothing for you. I don't served you enough. My ancestors served you. You built wealth off that. Good for you. Now, until you do right by me, I'm gonna be over here focusing on my people, my community, my family, myself, our space, and building over here, cleaning up this mess that you left. So I think I can forgive you, but I'm gonna forgive you from a distance. And what happens is when I talk like that, it sounds dangerous and radical and scary because I think as Black people we're kind of like, well, we white folks did us dirty, but we best be nice to them because they
exactly, and
control
that's
everything.
why I wanted to
Yeah,
interject.
I don't think that way.
Is deprogramming like D1, where you talk about D1 and his conscious hip hop? I'm like, we need D1 programming. We need to reprogram and deprogram from what we've experienced. And I'm like, I feel the same way. I'm constantly like straddling that line of wanting acceptance and wanting to be, you know, it's so hard to want to learn how to walk on your own and not need the validation from external validation from anyone in our lives. And so I feel like we have to reprogram. And one of the ways I did that is I made a song using AI, and I use these affirmation statements to help me to deprogram my mind. I listen to you every morning. I'm it has you have to literally be conscious about what we've internalized and why we feel that way. There are so many people that are still that way, that are like, I'm not gonna not, follow the program and be good as, the good, obedient, whatever. So I
Mhm.
think it's really important that we think about who we are, what is our identity. I think you hit on something earlier. Being Black in America is different than having a homeland to go back to. America is our home, but we are homeless. So there is that feeling of insecurity sometimes. So I think we have to create a space where we feel safe, and that's what I'm trying to do with, my sisterhood. We feel it's a sacred, safe space. Um, in our families too, we have to feel safe within our structured families and be able, like I go to Dr. Alicia's sessions every Sunday night to learn about the relationship building and how to be a better wife to my husband and how to communicate better and how to it's like we don't have everything figured out. So as long as we're trying to relearn and reprogram ourselves to the benefit of our family and ourselves, I think we're doing the best we can. Like you started us out today, like we just got to do the best we can in all areas of our lives because our children and our children's children are looking to us. We'll be the elders at some point, and we'll be paving the way. So thank you for letting
Well,
me
I love
share
that.
that.
No, I love that. I love that. And and speaking of Dr. Alicia today, in stock market investing class, she's
I
going
did
to
that on
actually put.
purpose so you could plug her in.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I'll put the link in the chat if anybody wants to join us. It's actually today at noon, and she developed a full training on something that I found to be a problem from speaking to some of you, which is a lot of you have experienced trauma or financial trauma, and what it's doing is it's affecting how you move. It's affecting your commitment and courage to things like investing and so it'll cause you to maybe freeze up or whatever the case may be. So she's actually going to do a training session today on how to deal with that, how to confront that in a healthy way. So I'll put that link in the chat for anybody that wants to join. It's actually today at noon, and then the recording is yours for life. So after it's done, when you log in there, you have access to the recording. So not only can you come back and take a look at it again later, keep all the notes, but also you can share it with your family. So the link is right there inside the chat if you want to join our financial trauma healing session today at noon. And I think this kind of thing matters because because when you talk about taking action, I get the fear part, right? I think all of us are sort of like, well, am I worthy? Can I do this? And even that crazy validation thing. So what I want to do, I'm gonna give you a quick gift before we go. All right.
Okay.
So Jen mentioned the struggle that a lot of us have. Tell me if you agree with this, everybody. First, I'm gonna ask everybody if you agree with this. Do you agree that it's a problem that we tend to seek validation from the wrong people? Like that literally white folks getting acknowledged by them is everything, right? Like you get you'll give $200,000 to get a degree from a school that they run, and then they'll make you like the head of widgets at Ford or something, and you'll feel really proud because you got this important job. And then we go to the store and we'll buy some Gucci or some label that we can put on our body that makes us feel more prestigious, right? So this validation is very expensive. That's the point. It's expensive in terms of money, time, attention, energy, everything, right? So I think that one thing we should really consider is when we think about blackness, blackness is a brand. And unfortunately, among other things, right? And one of the problems we have is that we tend to devalue that brand, right? We look at whiteness as Bloomingdale's, blackness is Walmart. You know what I mean? Like you tell that's how a lot of people look at it. If you tell them it's a black owned business, they're like, oh, you know what I mean? But if it's like Amazon or you know what I mean, or Nike, it's like, oh wow, I got Nike called me today, and then they hire you and they treat you like they just treat you like I'm gonna just say they'll treat you like a nigga. Let's just be honest. And but you'll deal with that pain and that stress and that trauma and that disrespect because you're so happy to be affiliated. You're so happy to be in this relationship that you'll take the abuse, right? All of us go through that. That's what happens when a lot of us go to work every day. So here's what I want to do. Let's do a little exercise. Let's manufacture some black privilege. Jen mentioned earlier that something we all struggle with in terms of wanting validation from the wrong places, namely, let's just call it for what it is, white people. How about this? I would like for all of us in here to give Jen some validation in the chat. So everybody right now on the count of three, I want you to tell Jen how much you love her, how proud you are of her, how extraordinary she is. All right, ready? One, two, three. All right, let's just dump some. We gonna just dump some black privilege on this black woman. Let her know how amazing she is. Encourage her. Tell her go black girl go. Let's get it done. We ain't waiting to exhale. We gonna exhale together. We all exhaling. Take all that crap off your shoulders, and we can manufacture what we want. That's the point. We can manufacture black privilege, and look at that. Look at those comments in the chat, Jen. That's your validation. That's your about. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. And I was reading the chat as before, and I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all the love and support. Even before you did that, I see I do tend to talk a lot, so I'm sorry if I interrupted you, Dr. Boyce, at times,
Okay.
because I'm used to talking to you, so we do this, but it's a different space. And I just am really honored to be I'm like, I can't read them all fast enough. I love it. I'm so grateful. I appreciate it so much. It means the world to me because it is a blessing to be in a space with you. And for me to be receiving all this love, I can't thank you enough.
Well, it's the least I can do. This is what when you look at all these comments and you look at all these people that love you and support you and have your back, what more do you need? See, a lot of times the reason our children are seeking love in all the wrong places is because they don't get enough love from us. We're not giving the validation. We got to manufacture that. We got to make black validation the most valuable form of validation you can ever receive so that you're not out here chasing down somebody who don't like you, going into spaces that you're not even welcome, and being mistreated just so you can have somebody tell you Black Lives Matter. No, we know Black Lives Matter. You ain't got to go have them tell you Black Lives Matter. You should already know this, right? So everything starts with love. Love
I
creates
agree.
esteem and pride, and now I can tell you, I bet you that you're feeling motivated right now. You're probably gonna go and finish this conversation and get right to work and be out here doing your thing because we are together validating you, giving you all the licenses you need to go out here and pursue black excellence at the highest level. And the reason I knew this was going to work is because that's what y'all did for me. I want to make sure everybody understands that you do that for me. All of you in here, when y'all come in and you're like, I love you, Dr. Boyce, because of who you are. That is so much better than when I was at Syracuse. they dealt with me in spite of who I was.
Yes.
It wasn't like, well, we like the fact that you're this black guy who says all these. No, they didn't like that stuff. They'd be like, oh, we'll keep this guy around because we don't want to be called a racist or whatever. It's like, no, and who wants to live like that? Like I don't want to drown in mediocrity. So I'd rather bathe in excellence every morning, right? And then every day you get up and you just feel unstoppable. So God bless you, Jen. Good luck with Black on the Platform. Blackontheplatform.com is her website. I hope everyone will go take a look. And also, there's links in the chat on how to follow her on YouTube and other places. Also, a reminder to everybody who's not on the text list, if you want to get a text notification when we meet for class every morning, text the word morning to the phone number 87948. I'll invite you to the Zoom. Text morning to 87948. And also later on today, Dr. Alicia is going to do her financial healing session in the stock market class. So if you don't see the link, you can also go to drboycestockmarket.com, drboycestockmarket.com. All right, everybody. So God bless you. Have a great day. And it was real. And thank you again, Jen. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. It was great to
And
see
thank
you
you
as well.
to FFS for all the links in the chat for the sisterhood dropping them. And thank you again for all the love. And everyone, like I always say, be well, stay blessed. And thank you again, Dr. Boyce, for having us here.